So if this was a landing page with a listing and I tried to get them to register a couple times to learn more about that listing, well, I would rather at the bottom before I lose them say, see more homes in this price range. As I go through the perfect landing page checklist with you guys, as I go through this with you all, I want you to understand that some of those general principles you're going to see in the advice you see here. As an example, the top half of this checklist is what they call mandatory. The bottom half is optional. So number one is the headline. The headline on a landing page is very much like the title of a blog post. It is very much like the subject line of an email. It is critically important. It is the thing that everybody will read. They won't read everything else. They won't always watch a video, but they will read that when they land. And so you need a strong headline that, again, reinforces what brought them here. If I bring them here and say, get an instant offer on your home, then I should have a strong headline that says, get an instant offer today, right? Like it needs to reinforce it. So obsess about it. And I'll talk about the length of the copy in a minute, but the headline is critical to nail. Then you have number two, which is the imagery. You're going to basically need what we call a hero shot, a mega photo. You're going to need something that's sort of big and bold and looks great. It may not be the whole landing page, but it's going to be a huge component of it. People process these visuals super quickly. You want something that really kind of conveys the message. It's not clever just for clever's sake, but whether it's a video or an image, the sort of thing they see when they land is the second most important thing compared to the headline. Now, I do want to say one thing here because videos on landing pages, when I did the research for my book, the conversion rate of a landing page with a video is actually lower than one without it. But if you go back to what we just said, do you want less leads that watched a 3-minute video about your company or more leads that barely know who you are? Number three, a clear call to action. This is critical. So this is the request more, learn now, download immediately, view instantly, register, RSVP, so you don't miss out, right? Like there needs to be a clear call to action. See what we would pay for your home. Check your home's worth. Check your equity. Search for homes. It's a clear, specific call to action. And that is also critical. Now, number four is trust. When people are considering becoming a lead, considering registering, some type of social proof is really helpful. So it could be something like a 5-star review from Yelp or Zillow or Google or Facebook. It could be like a short and sweet one, by the way. Typically, you're not going to put a huge testimonial. You may have almost like 1 or 2 snippets that talk about how great you are. It could be an accolade, by the way, because let's say you're featured in Inc. Let's say you're, the number 1 team in Michigan, right? Whatever that accolade is, whatever that 5-star review is, incorporating simple testimonials and social proof is a critical part of an effective landing page. Number 5, which is subheading. The subheading is sort of finishing the sentence of the headline. A headline typically is very short. So if I say, get your home's offer now as the headline, the subheadline would be, avoid the hassle, no stress, no obligation, find out in minutes, right? So it's basically just supporting and almost finishing the sentence of the headline, but it's also kind of a headline length itself. Because the third thing here, as far as headline, subheadline, and then the rest of the copy, will be number 6 on the page, which is the value. And this would be the blurb. This would be the specificity. This would be, at open door, here's what we do, and here's why we do it. And so when you request this, here's what's going to happen. Here's why it's a cool way to do it. Here's why it's better than some of the frustrating ways to do it. We can't wait to work with you. All right. So we've gone through above the fold. At this point, you could stop. You can see it says optional, but we're going to go through it either way. Number one on optional would be kind of checklists or bullet points to reinforce everything you've said so far. Number two, and this is where you could have a video or you could go vice versa. If you had a video above the fold, this could be an image that reinforces the video. It could be a second video in many cases. If you don't have videos, it could be a second image. But basically, you want there to be another checklist and another image. If you think about the way people use a phone or use the internet, they're going to basically see the mandatory part we just went through. And then some of them, many of them, are going to scroll to look at the next part. And it's almost like we're starting over. Like that second screen full has to almost be like another little mini landing page with all the same components again. So you can see it's the additional info, which is the copy. You can see the video, which is the visual. You can see number three, which is trust, right? Like now we've got a little bit more room. Now maybe the blurb testimonial is the full testimonial, right? You can see number four, repeating the call to action. This is a big one. Landing pages, the best landing pages, they repeat it as you go. The longer the landing page, the more calls to action will be there. And in theory, almost every screen full should have one. Even if it's the same one, you can try different copy, try different angles, but as they scroll, you do not want to rely on them to scroll back to the top. That's what I'm getting at. You don't want somebody to be 3 screens down and have to go all the way back up for the form. You want the calls to action to kind of be sprinkled throughout the landing page, which is number 4 there. And then number 5, you can see like try a new call to action. They're at the point where they're basically at the bottom. Nothing that we have done has gotten them to click yet. They've seen calls to action and images and checkpoints, and they've kind of skipped a couple at this point. So this is a technique that I call, you might as well lose them to yourself. Meaning what you tried to get them to come and do at this point hasn't worked. And so by trying a completely different call to action at that point, you may be able to kind of lose them back to you. Now, one different call to action could just be a completely different way to say what you've already been saying. So this whole time you might have been saying, our company's great. Click here to learn why, right? And then at the bottom, the new call to action might say, a lot of real estate agents screw up. Make sure you don't work with one that does. Learn more, right? Like I saw a campaign, the truth about realtors, right? So that's just kind of flipping the call to action on its head. The other thing you can do though, is you can just go for a whole new goal at this point. So if this was a landing page with a listing and I tried to get them to register a couple times to learn more about that listing, well, I would rather at the bottom before I lose them say, see more homes in this price range. See more listings like this one. That's exactly why Zillow and Redfin and all of these home search tools do that. That would be what you would consider a new call to action. They got through the page. They didn't fill out the form. Let's try something different. Neighborhood call to action, market report call to action, get your home value call to action. Basically at the bottom, you're going to want to mix it up.